Hey everyone, this is Keith Scott from out in Sydney, Australia. I'm one of the voices of Bullwinkle J. Moose. It's time to watch Relentless and Unstoppable. And so give it up for your main hosts, Douglas Kenny and Andy McPhee.
Hey everybody, this is Doug Kenny and welcome to Relentless and Unstoppable. We have another amazing guest coming on the channel today, so please hit like and subscribe. And after this episode, please stay tuned to the RNU channel for more amazing guests. Let's get this on!
Hey everybody, how you doing? Just a quick little share of why I started Relentless and Unstoppable. It was for one very simple reason, because of Doug Kenny. Nothing to do with me at all, zero. I was just coaching Doug, and he took on the coaching and mentoring, and he made all the changes. He took all the suggestions from his parents as well as my coaching, but it was all about Doug, his breakthrough and his weight loss, his willingness to accept that he is dealing with high functioning autism and other issues, but he's never quit, he's never given up. So we did one interview with him to share his story, and then we decided to start interviewing other people. And Doug has now taken over the whole channel, and he does all the interviews, he runs everything. He's just an amazing young man. So RNU was born from simply what an amazing young man Doug is, and his story needed to be shared.
Yeah, for sure. What was the reason for the scene with Shadow giving his heartbreak supposed goodbye? Like, what was the message you guys intended?
When he's at the bottom of the pit?
Yes.
Well, it's two things. One, he's passing the torch. He's an old man, and, he acknowledges that the whole trip, the incredible journey was, yes, it was an incredible physical journey across land, but it was the emotional journey that made the movie work, which was Chance, who came in. I don't need anybody. I don't need a family. I don't want a family. You can't trust the humans. And life was just a big joke. And it really was his education. And so with the pit was instrumental for two things. One, you want to create tension for, will this old dog survive the pit and return home? That's one. But the other, it gave, story-wise, it gave Chance the opportunity to now become the Shadow character, to become the leader, to say, you took us this far. I'm not going to let you give up. Now get up. Let's go. Let's go. And it left, it was a great moment for Chance. And then it was a great moment for the audience. Will he or will he not make it? So that was the challenge there. The hardest scene to shoot was a scene I called Two Dogs Waxing Philosophical, which is when the cat goes over the waterfall and is presumably lost, dead and lost. Shadow has this long speech where he tells Chance what it is to be a dog. Mm-hmm. And that scene in the script scared me because, it was very challenging. It scared me in that sense, because how do you shoot that? Where do you shoot it? We weren't at all convinced that the dogs talking without articulating the mouths was even going to work. The technology didn't exist at that time to even think that we could articulate the mouth movement. Certainly not on our budget. And so the whole notion of how much animal dialogue will any of it work was very much up in question. And so to shoot this scene where it's so serious and they're both mourning the loss of the cat, and Shadow is taking it very personally, and he's taking personal responsibility. I should have paid more attention. She was my responsibility. That's what we do. And he goes on and on about, this is what a dog is, young man. And it happened to be one night we shot. When we were in Bend, we were up on the Deschutes River, and we were shooting the scene where the animals cross the river. And cats don't like water, so anytime they're around water, they're not happy. And at the end of one of those shooting days, I just took a short walk, and I walked to the end of kind of this cliff area as the sun was beginning to set. And there was a rock formation, and it was the view, and it was water down below. And I said, this is the place to shoot that scene. I went back, I grabbed Reed Smoot, Scott Cameron, my AD, and I said, guys, come with me. We're just a short walk away. I'll tell you where we're going to shoot this scene. And we walked and said, okay, this is it. And then we want to be there at sunset. So let's schedule whatever day that's going to be. We want to be there, get a few takes in before we lose the sun, but we want to be well rehearsed when it's the optimum lighting condition to shoot that scene. And the scene, I must say, turned out really well.
I would agree with that. So how was the voice cast selected?
Well, we were a low budget movie. We didn't have a budget. When I shot the movie, none of us really knew. The studio didn't know. I didn't know. Nobody knew how exactly we were going to do this. And so it was decided, well, let's hire some local kind of extras that can read the lines, and it'll give me a sense of the timing for the scene. That lasted about 2 minutes. It was clear. We shot a camera test the night before principal began, and I said, okay, Joe, here's the thing. I want to do a wide shot, and the animals go up and they'll sit by the tree, and then I'll do a 2-shot here, and then he'll move over to there. And Joe just looked at me like, what planet are you on? Because it's not going to work like that. I can't just go tell those animals, you want to do a wide shot, and this is the order in which you walk, and this is where you go. Forget it. And I said, okay, well then, we'll just let's rehearse with some dialogue, and let's bring these young people in, and you read for Chance, you read for Shadow, you read for, and it's like, the animals are looking around, they're scratching, it's enough of that. You guys, you're done. And then all I did with those 3 actors, I did record their voices. I had the arranged for the sound crew to take them aside and record the entire script. And at that point, there was animal dialogue, but the final movie is practically wall-to-wall animal dialogue. Again, we didn't know if it would work. And so the script was heavy on the people side of it and kind of light on the journey part of it. And for one reason, that was the studio safety valve. If the animal dialogue did not work, they figured they had enough footage of the family. Boring, because how many scenes can you have? I miss my animals, and be patient, and we'll find them. Then we got to post-production, and I had become very comfortable with those 3 voices, but we knew we had to cast other voices, and I was given a mandate that it was scale actors, no names whatsoever. This was the beginning of getting the big names. And I will give credit to Jeffrey Katzenberg, because by the time he saw the movie, he's just said, okay, about these voices, who do you want for Chance? How about Michael J. Fox? Get him on the phone. What about Sassy? How about Sally Field? Get her on the phone. How about Shadow? There were 3 names given on Shadow, and Don Amici was ultimately the guy. And that's how that happened. It would never have happened without the consent of the studio and Jeffrey saying, we're going to give this movie every opportunity to become a classic. So what's the release schedule? We're in the theaters in 7 weeks. Forget it. we were the next year writing the animal dialogue. And every time you write new animal dialogue, you're recording it with somebody and you're cutting it in. At a certain point in the post-production that next year, there were maybe 3 or 4 different voices for each animal. And unless you were really familiar with the movie, you didn't know who was talking because the voices are all different. And then when we finally did the voices, we recorded Michael J. Fox in New York, all on his own. And then we recorded Sally Field in LA, all on her own. And then we finished with Don Amici, all on his own. The 3 actors were never in a room together, always separate, and not even hearing the playback of the other actors. So all 3 of those actors did a really wonderful, marvelous job helping to create these characters.
Where was his voice recorded, Don?
Well, of course, he lived in Phoenix, and at that time, and it was, I forget which studio we were at. It wasn't Disney. It was, we mixed at Disney, but the recording was done somewhere, Hollywood somewhere. I forget.
Yeah. Didn't he pass away a few months after the movie came out?
He did. I don't know that we were the last thing that he did, but this Homeward Bound could have been the last thing that he did. Yes, he was in great spirit, but not good health. And I do remember one night at home, my kids were young at the time, and they were in the other room watching Harry and the Hendersons.
Mm-hmm.
My wife came in wherever I was in the other room and said, "There's Shadow's voice. You hear it?" And it was Don Amici.